So hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
lolitslea.
And we're going to ask some questions today about our upcoming album, Nothing Lasts Forever. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's been exciting. I think I've been kind of talking about it for like a year, so I feel like I guess the initial reaction wasn't as like big and fireworky as I would have expected it to be, but you know, it's everyone's excited, I'm excited, so I'm ready to put this project out.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
The album
Mhm.
fucking rocks. It's coming
Oh,
quick,
hell yeah.
less than a month.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't say that. Oh my God. No, it's is it a no, it's in a month,
Yeah,
right?
because isn't it October 12th? So, no, 2 months.
October
2 months.
11th.
Yeah, we're not in September
Okay.
yet, man.
Glory and I were talking about September less than an
Yeah.
hour ago, so my brain is in September because I was looking at a September calendar for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. I know. I'm like looking at September and I'm getting so nervous because there's like everything's like happening very fast. I'm
Mhm.
not used to the one song a month release. I don't think I've done that ever.
Mhm.
And wow, it sneaks up on you. It is like rapid fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Unfortunately, that's the way it's got to be for the Spotify algorithm. But it's like, does the song ever get a chance to breathe?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It will after the album comes out. They'll all just
There you go.
exist there, and then that'll be my new personality trait. It'll be great.
So, is there any meaning behind the album cover art or title?
Yeah, so it kind of is like another play on words. Like, I guess Happy Never Ending was my last project release, and I was like, let me just like play into that. And the way I write music and the right way I write my songs is it's very linear. So I experience something, I write it, and I put it out. So Happy Never Ending was like that experience, and then I started writing a bunch of songs, and then I grouped it into this project. So it's funny because it was like Happy Never Ending, and then Nothing Lasts Forever. It's kind of like just kidding, it does end. So kind of it, be poking at a little joke there. But yeah, I mean, essentially, like, my previous project, I was writing about how this thing goes on and on and on, and it just never ends after a decade, after years, whatever. And then it's this project's like, okay, that topic, I guess, has finally come to an end. It's finally like we're moving on from it. Nothing lasts forever, but it also touches on like a bigger topic of like, I've been moving around so much the past couple of years from like
Mhm.
LA to Nashville to Jersey, and I'm kind of feeling like nothing is permanent in my life right now. And I don't know, I have to keep leaving friends that I love. And obviously, like, those are kind of choices that I've made. So it's my own fault, but it just kind of sucks. And so like, being in those places, I'm like realizing that doesn't last forever either, and
Mhm.
my life goes on. And I guess in like bad times, nothing lasts forever. You're not going to be stuck in a bad situation for the rest of your life, but life just keeps going, so you just gotta deal with that. And yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And any meaning behind the cover art?
I guess so. Obviously, blue and green. I've really leaned into that
I
as
can't tell
my
at all looking at you.
entire identity. The hair needs an upgrade. It's definitely like growing out, but it'll be more vibrant in the future. But yes, it is. I have a blue and green blanket. I started buying like literally everything in blue and green now, like accidentally, just because it's now just my entire life. So but that's that part. And then I leaned into like the rocket ship and the space theme because I wanted to touch on like flying everywhere and traveling places, and whether it's like a plane or driving across the country or just never really being in one spot for a long time, making that really much more exciting by using a rocket ship. And like there's like a little avatar that'll come out with it. Like I'm getting stickers made, and it's like me with an astronaut helmet, like just kind of leaning
Yeah.
into like, all right, I'm never in one spot. I'm literally everywhere all at once, all the time. And that's like my portrayal of that.
Hell yeah.
I
Love
love
it.
that.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah, I started writing it in December 2022,
Wow.
which
Damn.
I didn't even realize until I did the good old look back at my voice memos, and I was like, oh, I didn't think I wrote that long ago. That's
Yeah.
how long it takes to make an album, especially as an independent artist, though.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, the process has kind of been similar to the past, but I've gotten to do a lot more collaborative writing. So I've gotten to work with more producers on this record than I think ever have in my life.
Mm.
And that's been really fun to get in rooms with other people. I didn't do a lot of co-writing previously, but I've always wanted to. So I slowly started getting into sessions and writing with other producers and artists and songwriters, and that has been a new journey for me. And out of what I've done so far, even an unreleased stuff for the future, it's just been awesome. Like get in a room with somebody and like a song is like immediately written, and that hasn't always been my experience. So the fact that like it has been very recently, like that's been awesome. But yeah, I mean, half the songs I want to say, like I did that, middle of the night, 3, 4 a.m. voice memo, kind of
Mhm.
like getting all my feelings out there. And I wrote a song and then brought it to somebody. And then a couple of the other songs are a bit more collaborative and like sitting in a room with a couple different songwriters and really just figuring it out on the spot.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So for you, like going forward, you prefer that collaboration versus writing like solely on your own?
I don't know. I think I like that I have the choice to be like, okay, I want to get in a room with people and write a song now versus like in my opinion, some of my best work comes from just like literally my brain just sitting there and like Call It a Fling was kind of like that. That one's the second song on the album that's already out. That song I literally just like sat and wrote the whole thing by myself and I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of a banger in my opinion." But
Yeah.
I really like it for that reason. So it's like if I want to write more songs like that, and maybe that literally is just me being by myself. But the
Mhm.
fact that I've gotten to collaborate with so many different people and like the outcome is different every time because there's different brains obviously in on
Yeah.
it. I love hearing like other people's influences and them coming into my own song. So yeah, it just depends. Like I feel like it's really like an honor to like be able to I guess decide like, hey, I want to write a song today and like I want this person to come in and add their flair to it versus like me being isolated and doing it on my own. I think there's pros to both for sure.
Gotcha. Hell yeah.
100%. And you said that you've kind of been anticipating and kind of waiting for the moment to collaborate with other people writing wise. So, did it live up to your expectations? Were there any learning curves? Did you lock up a little bit? Or was it just kind of like, oh shit, yeah, I could just write with anyone now?
Honestly, there was a huge learning curve. That was the biggest thing I think early on in my collaborative experience because and I think I know the problem. I think the problem was I didn't have a distinct sound yet and I
Mm,
didn't know what type of music I really wanted to be making. So I was kind of in like an experimental
yeah.
realm for a couple years and I had gotten into sessions with one of them with an artist that was in a band that I like adored and then looked up to as like a teenager and I'm like we didn't write anything in that session and I think I talk about this a lot because it was just a really big learning moment for me because I'm like, I don't know, sometimes it might not go as planned. You might not get a song out of it, and that's okay. And
Mm,
a lot of times you gotta like just accept that it's okay.
yeah.
Other songwriters with more experience have told me that advice too, that you might not get a song when you go in a session and you just can't beat yourself up over it. But I think not knowing like what I wanted to get out of the session and being
Mm,
so new to it in those early sessions and not having a song by the end of the call or the end of the session, like that, yeah, I think that definitely changed what the outcome was. But once I don't know, once I started, I was like, I'm writing pop punk or like the neon sounds of it all. I have these topics, like kind of just allowing myself to let loose a little bit too,
mhm.
because it is a little nerve-wracking to go in a room with people that you don't know and for the
Yeah.
first time and dump your feelings out and try to like I don't know, say aloud like the things that my brain says when I'm writing a song. I'm like, I don't know, no one else should hear that. Like the process to like that goes through like trying to find some lyrics or like is wild. Like it's such a
Mhm.
vulnerable experience to like tell someone that while you're doing it. So
Mhm.
that was interesting, but I've thankfully been in rooms with very experienced songwriters and they just took it over. They made me feel comfortable. It was a really great collaborative experience, and I'm excited to keep getting in rooms like that.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so happy to hear that. Hell yeah. And
Thanks.
so what song off the album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Took the longest to write. The couple, I feel like I have one answer, but that was very easily uh completed by having like one of my friends or like having a featured artist on the track.
Mhm.
Because sometimes there's songs that you just can't get that second verse. I have this huge issue and it's been getting better, but where I've struggled to write a second verse, and sometimes that results in the best case scenario getting like a badass singer on
Mhm.
the track to go
Yep.
write the rest of it if that's the case. But I mean, yeah, I guess the longest, maybe Say Grace, which is track number 4.
Mhm.
Um, I think that I had that one lingering for a while and I really liked it and I wanted to finish it, but I didn't really know how to to complete it. And I had, some artists in mind that I really wanted to be on this record. And obviously being good friends with Smooth Brain and me being obsessed with their music, I was like, you know what, this is a great track for them. And Izzy crushed it out the park with that second verse. I could not have done that. So that one probably took the longest. I kind of shelved it for a little bit. It's not a single, so maybe that goes to say, but Smooth Brain revived the crap out of it. So I'm
Mhm.
excited for that one. And then my favorite
Mhm.
would have to be Exit Plan, which is going to be the 4th single, and it comes out next month before the album featuring Tom Denny. But that one's my favorite because, which that one took a while to write too. It was a lot of back and forth on the writing
Mhm.
between me and Tom's team. But I just like when I started to write my lyrics, because Tom did all the guitars and the production and he produced it. And when I started writing, I guess my lyrics, I kind of just like word vomited them all out. And that's how my favorite way to write a song is because it just flows out so easily and then you
Yeah.
have a whole song. But yeah, the storyline is like essentially me selling my Nintendo DS to a pawn shop and like that being one of my biggest regrets in life because that holds so many memories to me. And I thought like, selling my memories to make money because I need money and I needed money when I was like a young adult or like an older teenager and like it's like I still need money now. So we're still in the same boat. I didn't become rich
Yeah.
by doing stuff like that. Uh that was like one of my biggest regrets. So I love that I was able to capture like, that time when I was like obsessed with playing my DS and like living in my house that I've been in for, I mean, I'm back in it now, but my house is essentially a liminal space from my childhood and
Mhm.
whatnot. And I also got like a tattoo for it of like the broken DS that's like on the cover
Oh.
of
Yeah.
the single artwork. So that's probably my favorite, and I think that goes to show too.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll
Love it.
definitely, yeah.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
Yeah. Again, a linear thing. I wrote a song after song and I was starting to put them on like the track list as I wrote them,
Mhm.
and that felt the most appropriate to me. I did have, I don't know, I guess I really do think most of it was in the order I wrote them in. Like Nothing
Oh.
Lasts Forever is the title track, and it almost didn't get on this record. It almost wasn't recorded, but I brought Roy, producer out in Chicago, a couple songs, and he was like, I really like this one. So he basically decided that was going to be my last song on my album.
Yeah.
And that's the last song because it was the last one I paid mine to.
Mhm.
And I happened to just really like the idea of like the happy never ending, nothing lasts forever thing. So that worked out. But yeah, I think they all kind of that's how I wrote them. That's one after another. That's the order I kind of wrote them in, and there they are. I think they flow kind of nicely. I might have moved one or two of them around, like you got that ballad, squashed in there. So I might have moved a couple around, but yeah, it's pretty true to the way events happened, I guess.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating the record?
I don't know. I feel like if I'm being completely honest, I feel like there was a lot of like pressure and stress like around completing these songs and working on them. Obviously, that's not the most ideal way you want to work on like your passion, but I think anything you're really excited about, you have this obvious standard that you want to hold it to, and
Hmm.
need everything to go the way that you envisioned it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't always. So yeah, I mean it felt like a lot of work and a lot of stress during the process, but obviously like if I hated it, hated doing that, I would have stopped because I'm in full control of that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean now that it's done, there's still so much going on with it, but we're on to the next phases of it, but I don't
Yeah.
feel as much like, back and forth on the song ideas and like the production of it. It's not so much that, and I kind of get to sit down and like enjoy listening to it again, and not just listen to it to find problems, but listen to it to actually appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Solid.
How did you kind of overcome that pressure that you were putting on yourself throughout the process, the writing process?
Hmm. I
Or did you
mean,
just kind of roll with it and
Fuck it, we
now it's
ball.
done and the pressure's off?
it was definitely a lot of rolling with it.
Hmm.
I will say I did just like I have to shout out my like mentor slash like pseudo manager, Nathan Darmody, because I think talking to him through a lot of different things helped me figure out like, the next plan of action, how I should be handling like the relationships I'm making in this stage of like creating an album. So he's definitely was a huge person involved in the whole process of the album that kind of kept me grounded and level-headed. So, it could be a headspace for me. I think it was that person and being able to just roll with it and
Hmm.
know that I'm like I literally love doing this. Like there's no complaints. Maybe I was stressed the whole time, but I'm not complaining about it. But, it's yeah, I think it's worth it. It's worth it.
For sure.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should do in the car with friends and talk with headphones on? Is a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
I say this every time because I still think it's true, but definitely like blasting in the car.
Hmm.
That's my favorite way to listen to music. And I recommend that people listen to it. Yeah, blasting with their windows down in the car. Maybe on their gym playlist. I've been really into that. Like I've been finding a lot of artists lately that I really enjoy listening to at the gym specifically. And I'm
Hmm.
like, there's a couple songs I feel like that can get you really hyped up. Like track number 3, I feel like you could be like really, really pumped to work out to that one.
Yeah,
So maybe that, but yeah, blasting everywhere on speakers. I'm not a big headphone person. I don't know. I rather
Huh.
listen to things out loud.
me
Yeah,
too.
that's fair. All
Yeah.
right. And this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Okay. Journey.
Okay.
Mm, I know I can't think too much about it. I feel like colorful is always what comes to my mind with any of my music,
Mm.
and bouncy.
Ooh.
All right.
Hmm.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have going through the album?
Just have a good time. Listen to it because you enjoy listening to it. You want to put it on because you want to let go of some sort of emotion or anger or excitement. I don't know. I just want people to have a good time when they listen to my stuff. Maybe dance around their house a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wonderful. Hell yeah. So, are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
I mean, I think I touched on the negative of just how like it was stressed to go back and forth on some of these songs and like really getting them to where I wanted them to be. But um I don't know, positive, I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons working on an entire album. I feel like I've really figured out like who I want to work with, the type of people I want to bring onto my team that lift me up and support me and work well with me. I can be kind of pain in the ass sometimes when it comes to finishing up these things, and so like having a team that has a lot of patience, and also me recognizing to like chill out sometimes, to get stuff done and not feel so pressured and stressed out when I'm trying to complete my vision or get it to where I want it to be. Yeah, just a lot of lessons on putting together. And 8 songs is like not even a lot. Like that's one more song that that makes the one song that makes it an album versus an EP. And I couldn't believe how much work went into this. So I couldn't imagine if I did like 12 to 20 songs. I would give bands like a huge props for doing that, especially independent, because oh my God, yeah, it takes an army. It really does, like regardless of doing it by yourself or with a label or whatnot. But yeah, just the lessons learned. That's I think a positive. There might have been some negatives in there, but I think, now I've done this. Now I can move on and say I've done this and I can do it better the next time.
Damn right.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
I
love
love
it.
that.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music. So, if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
One animal for the rest of my life. I feel like I think about this a lot, but my answer changes. I mean, I don't know. I want to be like an animal that has like a really exciting life, but also like a frog. They're not that exciting, but they can kind of just like vibe out.
Yeah.
And sit and look cool. And I feel like maybe that's my answer right now. I'm not sure if that would be my answer tomorrow. Maybe, or like I want to do one more, like maybe like a firefly. I don't know. They kind of just like vibe out and they're very colorful and they're bright and they get to move around. And when people see them, they get excited. So yeah, depending on the day, either one of those.
Both solid choices.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. Feel like that's tough. Do I go like the obvious, like, oh, one of my favorite bands, or do I pick like someone really obscure and totally unrelated to music? I don't know. I feel like I'd want it. I don't have an exact person, but my like brain process is thinking in like I want to talk to like the developer of like one of my favorite video games or something so I could sit down and ask them like how they thought of that storyline and the process and like where it went from start to finish. I don't have an exact person on the top of my head, but I think that might be my answer.
Do you have do you have a game?
Yeah, I feel like it would either be, well, because now I'm thinking of like the creators of like the Zelda franchise. That's such a broad answer. But then if I'm thinking of like my little third party games, like even just like Stardew Valley or like
Oh, I love Stardew Valley.
yeah, and it's the one guy. Like I would sit down with him. That would be cool. But with that or like Bug Snacks, which I've been really into lately, or even just like there's a developer called Night School and they do like Oxenfree and After Party. And I don't know the singular. I should do some research after this. The person who developed those games as like whoever like started it, but that would be cool. I want to know about that. I want to know all about it, all about the lore.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Wonderful.
And for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
Man, I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't know what movie I would bring. I feel like off the top of my head, this wouldn't be very like pleasant, but I'm thinking like The Ring. Like I'd bring
Oh my God.
my favorite like horror movies or something, or like The Shining. I don't know. I've seen The Shining like so much that I don't know if I'd want to watch it like that many
Forever.
times. But I don't know. It would probably be like, one of my favorite like horror movies that I would watch all the time in like high school or something. And then album, A Lesson in Romantics by Mayday Parade, because
Nice.
no matter how many times I listen to that album, it does not get old. And then person, oh my goodness. Low-key, my friend Josh.
Nice.
Shout
Hell
out Josh. They're technically like my merch manager right now, but they're a very close friend of mine, and we send like 20-minute voice memos every single day, like endlessly. So that would be a fun hang on an island.
Hell
Shout
yeah.
out Josh.
Hell yeah. So as I said, that's all the questions you had today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
The album that comes out October 11th. That's the most exciting thing coming up, and a tour. I'm going to be touring on it with the band Dawn, Davvn. So we're doing a little East Coasty thing, seven different shows and in 2 weeks. So come on and get tickets to that if you want some fun pop punk and nostalgic 2000s pop vibes. That's the place. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you, Snow. It's been LOL, it's Leah, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.